Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Andrew, and it's a beautiful Labor Day weekend, or at least the start of it. School started and fall is coming. Fall is one of my favorite times of the year. I think fall is when I usually get most of my reading done too, fall and winter. So that's a nice time of year to sit back and relax and read. Today, I think today's video, I'm going to talk to you about, I got a lot of e-arcs from NetGalley these past couple months, and I got to really get into reading them. And I thought that I would tell you guys about some of the ones that I got and some of the ones that I plan on reading. It might have to be a two-part video because I realized that I have so many, and I want to try to get them all out to you and talk to you about them. I hope the lighting's okay. I'm just sitting on the porch. We've got the dogs outside and enjoying the day. So let's just get started with them. The first book I'm going to talk to you about, it is a sci-fi book. It is called The Spear That Cuts Through the Water by Simon Jimenez. Simon Jimenez wrote a book, I think it was in 2020. Yeah, I believe it was 2020. It was called The Vanishing Birds. If you haven't read that, check that out. It's very good. Very good sci-fi, creative. And I have no doubt that this book will be just as good. I think that this book came out yesterday, August 30th, or 2 days ago now, because today's September 1st. Happy September. This book came out August 30th. I had an arc for a while, and I wish I would have got to it sooner, but I wanted to tell you guys about it because I was impressed by his first book. Like I said, it's called The Vanishing Birds. I'll leave a link. I'm learning how to do that stuff now, too. But The Vanishing Birds is his first book, and his second book, like I said, is called The Spear That Cuts Through Water. It's sci-fi. Published by Random House Publishing Group, Valentine Del Rey. The people suffer under a centuries-long rule of the Moon Throne, the royal family, the despotic emperor and his monstrous sons, the Three Terrors, hold the countryside in their choking grip. They bleed the land and oppress the citizens with the frightful powers they inherit from the god locked under their palace. But that god cannot be contained forever. With the aid of June, a guard broken by his guilt-stricken past, and Kima, an outcast fighting for his future, the god escapes from her royal captivity and flees from her own children, the triplet terrors, who would drag her back to her unholy prison. And so it is that she embarks with her young companions. I hope you guys can't hear that train. The joys of living in the Midwest, huh? The journey in a way to the end the Moon Throne forever. The journey ahead will be more dangerous than any of them could have imagined. Both a sweeping adventure story and an intimate exploration of identity, legacy, and belonging. The Spear That Cuts Through Water is an ambitious, profound saga that will transport and transform you, and is like nothing you've ever read before. Like I said, it came out on the 30th, so a couple days ago. Pick that up if you can. His first book was definitely worth reading, and this one sounds just as good. Next up, we got Ithaca by Claire North. It is due to be published in a couple days, September 6th, 2022. Red Hook Books is the publisher. I just started this one last night. It's a Greek retelling of classical Greek mythology. It's the story of Penelope of Ithaca, famed wife of Odysseus, as it has never been told before. 17 years ago, King Odysseus sailed to the war with Troy, taking with him every man of fighting age from the island of Ithaca. None of them has returned, and the women of Ithaca have been left behind to run the kingdom. Penelope was barely into womanhood when she wed Odysseus. While he lived, her position was secure, but now, years on, speculation is mounting that her husband is dead, and suitors are beginning to knock at her door. No one man is strong enough to claim Odysseus' empty throne, not yet. But everyone waits for the balance of power to tip, and Penelope knows that any choice she makes could plunge Ithaca into a bloody civil war. Only through cunning wit and her trusted circle of maids can she maintain the tenuous peace needed for their kingdom to survive. On Ithaca, everybody watches, including the gods, and there is no corner of the land where intrigue does not reign. From multiple award-winning author Claire North comes a daring, powerful, and moving tale that breathes new life into ancient myth and tells of the women who stand defiant in a world ruled by ruthless men. Now, this one, so far, I've only gotten to a couple chapters into it, and it's pretty good. I usually gauge these classic Greek retellings on The Song of Achilles, which is one of my favorite books, 5-star read. That I love, and Circe too. Circe, both of them by Madeline Miller. Very good classical retellings of these Greek myths. And so far it's good. It's an arc. I don't know if it's a little bit harder to read because that being it's not the final print, but so far I'm definitely getting into it. I don't know if it's as good as the 2 books I just mentioned by Madeline Miller, but it's definitely worth a read. It is, again, the Ithaca by Claire North comes out on September 6th, 2022, and it is by Red Hook Books. All right, the third book I want to tell you about, it's called Ruby Red Skies by Taslim Berkowitz. It is published by Fenwood, and it comes out October 10th, 2022. And this one sounds really interesting. Ruby used to be a fiery, sexy musical genius, but when she got pregnant as a teenager in the 90s, her life took a turn into banality. Now a middle-aged Indo-Canadian woman, she feels unseen and unheard by her white husband and struggles to communicate with her mixed-race daughter. When she discovers her husband cheating, she embarks on a quest to unearth exciting secrets from her past. To find out what she needs, she drives straight into British Columbia's raging wildfires, accompanied only by the fantastical stories her mother used to tell her about their ancient Mughal ancestry. I'm not really too familiar with the Mughals, I'll have to look them up. A dancer named Rubina, who lived in the concubine quarters of the great Agra fort. This book is at once historical fiction and political romance, deftly navigating themes of mixed race relationships, climate change, motherhood, body shame, death, and the passage of time. And like I said, it comes out on October 10th, 2022, and it sounds pretty good. So check that one out too, guys. All right, up next, we have a Regency romance. This is a genre that I used to, if somebody told me a couple years ago that I would love Regency romance, I would have laughed in their faces, but I actually do like it a lot. This is called Wronged and Respected, The Gentleman's Valiant Wife by Bree Wolfe. And it is published, it's independently published, so I really like to catch indie books as much as I can, and especially like to talk about them and tell people about indie books. So definitely check out Wronged and Respected, The Gentleman's Valiant Wife by, what did I say her name was? Wronged and Respected, The Gentleman's Valiant Wife by Bree Wolfe. In this Regency romance, USA Today bestselling author and Holt Medallion winner Bree Wolfe, a bitter Scotsman and a French lass find themselves running from a painful past and towards a shared future, if only they knew. Ian McDrummond is no more. He died 3 years ago off the Scottish coast. In his stead, Ian Stewart now stands upon the deck of the Chevalier Noir, a French privateer. Tasked with a most urgent mission, Ian comes to realize that his past may not be as dead as he thought or hoped when his path crosses that of a young woman. Noelle Clement had been happy once, happy and in love. Now all is lost, even her precious child. Unwilling to give up, Noelle accepts aid from the Durrett family, who place a rather taciturn Scotsman at her side. Still, before long, Noelle comes to see that they have more in common than she thought. As they rush to unearth the whereabouts of Noelle's daughter, and an old enemy closes in on them, threatening not only their tentative bond, but also those who they hold dear. In the end, it all comes down to one question: how far are we willing to go for the ones we love? Sounds pretty good. It comes out in a couple of days as well on September 8th, 2022. And like I said, it's independently published. So go check out our indie writers doing it themselves and getting it out there. Guys, this is another sci-fi book. It comes out on the 4th of October of this year. Memories, Lies, and Other Binds by Katie Memories, Lies, and Other Binds by Katie Foraker. Like I said, it's sci-fi. The Vampire Diaries meets The Da Vinci Code in a thrilling dark academia take on urban fantasy. Zoe Prescott doesn't age, which gives the bookish dermatologist plenty of time to focus on her work at the Research Institute of Demon Entities and Rarities, or RIDER. She's also there to figure out why she stopped aging at 22, even though the mind-bending hypnotherapy sessions to help her remember seem to cause more harm than good. When a serial killer targeting powerful witches emerges, Zoe ignores her colleagues' advice not to hunt for the murder's vampire responsible, who unfortunately happens to be her brother. Ryder won't let Zoe slide a stake into her vile sibling's heart alone. She joins her ex, who dumped her for mortal, and knows she's still not over it, and a fledgling witch who could be the killer's next victim. But when her brother claims he's innocent and that a larger threat is about to shake both the human and supernatural worlds, Zoe becomes caught in a dangerous game of truth and lies. Can Zoe choose the right side before a twisted conspiracy stains her soul? I guess we'll find out. This doesn't really sound too sci-fi to me. It sounds more contemporary, paranormal, and probably romance. But it sounds interesting nonetheless. And that is the Memory, Lies, and Other Binds by Katie Foraker. It comes out October 4th, 2022. Now this next one, guys, it's by a pretty big author, Rachel Hawkins. I have tons of her books on my TBRs all over the place. I've never read anything by her, but I'm definitely going to start with this one. And then everybody seems to love her, so I'm probably going to want to be reading all her books after I read this. But this is called The Villa by Rachel Hawkins, and it comes out January 3rd, 2023. From New York Times bestselling author Rachel Hawkins comes a deliciously wicked gothic suspense set in an Italian villa with a dark history for fans of Lucy Foley and Ruth Ware. I've read one book by Ruth Ware, and I really liked it a lot, so that's a good sign for this. As kids, Emily and Chess were inseparable, but by their 30s, their bond has been strained by the demands of their adult lives. So when Chess suggests a girls' trip to Italy, Emily jumps at the chance to reconnect with her best friend. Villa Astis in Orvieto is a high-end holiday home now, but in 1974, it was known as Villa Rosada and rented for the summer by a notorious rock star, Noel Gordon. In an attempt to reignite his creative spark, Noel invites up-and-coming musician Pierce Sheldon to join him, as well as Pierce's girlfriend Mary and her stepsister Laura. But he also sets in motion a chain of events that leads to Mary writing one of the greatest horror novels of all time, Laura composing a platinum album, and ends in Pierce's brutal murder. As Emily digs into the villa's complicated history, she begins to think there might be more to the story than that fateful summer of 1974, that perhaps Pierce's murder wasn't just a tale of sex, drugs, and rock and roll gone wrong, but that something more sinister might have occurred, and that there might be clues hidden in the now iconic works that Mary and Lara left behind. Yet, the closer that Emily gets to the truth, the more tension she feels developing between her and Chess. A secret from the past comes to light, equally dangerous. Betrayals from the present also emerge, and it begins to look like the villa will claim another victim before the summer ends. Inspired by Fleetwood Mac, the Manson murders, and the infamous summer Percy and Mary Shelley spent with Lord Byron at Lake Geneva Castle, the birthplace of Frankenstein, the villa welcomes you into its deadly legacy. Now, I can get down with Fleetwood Mac inspiration. I just like that whole time period. It sounds very interesting. And like I said, Rachel Hawkins, she got a resume, so this is probably definitely worth checking out, and I will be reading this probably pretty soon. It comes out, like I said, here comes the school bus. Let me pause. Hopefully I can edit this out, or you're going to be listening to it. La 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 la. Hello. Hi, kids. Okay, like I said, The Villa by Rachel Hawkins. It comes out 1/3/23, January 3rd, 2023, by St. Martin's Press. Another one by a pretty big deal writer, Mr. Ian McEwan. It's called Lessons. It comes out on September 13th, 2022, by Knopf Doubleday Publishing Group. Of course, Ian McEwan wrote Atonement and a lot of good stuff. Atonement is one of my favorite books, and I love the movie Atonement, so I can only imagine this is probably a very good book. When the world is still counting the cost of the Second World War and the Iron Curtain has closed, 11-year-old Roland Bain's life is turned upside down. 2,000 miles from his mother's protective love, stranded at an unusual boarding school, his vulnerability attracts piano teacher Miss Miriam Cornell, leaving scars as well as a memory of love that will never fade. Now when his wife vanishes, leaving him alone with his tiny son, Roland is forced to confront the reality of his restless existence. As the radiation from Chernobyl spreads across Europe, he begins a search for answers that looks deep into his family history and will last for the rest of his life. Haunted by lost opportunities, Roland seeks solace through every possible means: music, literature, friends, sex, politics, and finally love. And finally love cut tragically short, then love ultimately redeemed. His journey raises important questions for us all. Can we take full charge of the course of our lives without causing damage to others? How do global events beyond our control shape our lives and our memories? And what can we really learn from the tantrums of the past? Epic, mesmerizing, and deeply humane, Lessons is a chronicle for our times, a powerful mediation on history and humanity through the prism of one man's life. You know, reading that, I'm excited to read this now. I'm glad that I'm doing these videos, because a lot of times when I read these synopsises or hear about a book, I'm just like, but when I'm sharing them with somebody, I get a little bit more excited about them, and I'm gonna throw this one at the top of the pile too. Probably try to read it this weekend. I'm gonna try to get through all of these this month and do some review videos on them. Lately, I've been doing the just introducing or recommending books to you guys, but I'm gonna try to get to more review type videos and other stuff here soon. Like I said, Lessons by Ian McEwan. It comes out on the 13th of September this year. Go check that out. It sounds pretty good. Let's do one more. It's called Mame, M-A-A-M-E, by Jessica George. I've heard of her. I haven't read anything by her yet, but I've heard of her, heard good things. This is, again, by Jessica George. It doesn't come out till February 7th of 2023, so you got time to introduce yourself to it. Oh, here we go, pronunciation. Mame. Okay, let's start over then. Mame by Jessica George. Mame has many meanings in Twi, but in my case, it means woman. It's fair to say that Maddie's life in London is far from rewarding. With a mother who spends most of her time in Ghana, yet still somehow manages to be overbearing, Maddie is the primary caretaker for her father, who suffers from advanced stage Parkinson's. At work, her boss is a nightmare, and Maddie is tired of always being the only black person in every meeting. When her mom returns from her latest trip to Ghana, Maddie leaps at the chance to get out of the family home and finally start living. A self-acknowledged late bloomer, she's ready to experience some important first. She finds a flat share, says yes to after-work drinks, pushes for more recognition in her career, and throws herself into the bewildering world of internet dating. Ooh. But it's not long before tragedy strikes, forcing Maddie to face the true nature of her unconventional family and the perils and rewards of putting her heart on the line. Smart, funny, and deeply affecting, Jessica George's Mame deals with the themes of our time with humor and poignancy, from familial duty and racism to female pleasure, the complexity of love, and the life-saving power of friendship. Most important, it explores what it feels like to be torn between two homes and cultures, and it celebrates finally being able to find where you belong. Again, this is Mame by Jessica George. Comes out February 7th, 2023 by St. Martin's Press. And that sounds pretty darn interesting as well. Well, it's going to have to be a two-parter because I got so many more e-arcs from NetGalley, and I want to get to them all. year by year, I try to get to as many as I can, but I'm motivated this year to try to read them all, review them all, and get them out to people that I have in my bookosphere. And especially now that I'm doing this booktube stuff, I want to try to get, these books out there, especially when I come across independent books, like that Regency romance. What was it called? That Regency one. What was it called? Darn it. Here I am again with the anyway, I'm going to edit this out somehow, some way. But what about you guys? What arcs do you guys have? What books should we be excited? Up and coming books